I'm going on a cruise! It feels so good to say that. It has been so long. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. I'm Becky, I'm the Owlet. I talk all things travel and cruises and a little bit of plus size fashion on the side. Today, let's talk about something that's equally exciting and nerve-wracking. Should have muted that. In 4 days, 20 hours and 57 minutes as I film this, I will be stepping on my first cruise ship in nearly 2 years. The last time I was on a cruise ship for an actual cruise was November 2019. The last time I was on a cruise ship in general was for a press trip in March 2020, and the less said about that, the better. Anyway, I am excited. It is not only my first cruise in 2 years, it's my first cruise with my boyfriend Jack, and it is my first time trying Princess Cruises. And I have wanted to try Princess Cruises since I first went on a Zero in 2019. Everyone said that Princess Cruises is like another level up from P&O, and I loved P&O. Full disclosure, this trip is partially sponsored by Princess Cruises. They're not asking me to make this. I just want to have a chat to you before I go. As much as I'm excited for my first cruise since the start of the pandemic, I'm a little bit nervous, I can't lie. If you followed my blog, you'll know I've spoken countless times about travel anxiety and just even on a lesser level, getting really nervous before I travel. This first cruise back is no different. I have a huge fear of the unknown, and as much as I do like to get myself out of my own comfort zone, I really struggle forcing myself out of my own comfort zone. And this cruise is entirely unknown. I'm not nervous about going on Princess Cruises because when it comes to a new cruise line, you know, it's still a cruise. So I just get excited to try new cruise lines, but actually cruising post-COVID, that is what's scaring me. So I thought it could be interesting to speak today about the things that I'm nervous about, and then I'm gonna go on a cruise. I'll be back in like a week, and then we can have a sit down chat again and talk about was I right. So with that in mind, I have 4 areas of things that I'm a little bit nervous about, so let's get on with it. I've forgotten how to YouTube. So I know it's only 4 items, but I have my list here. Number 1 is the COVID test aboard. Obviously I expect to take a COVID test aboard. It makes sense, I totally agree with it, but it's not going to stop me stressing about it. The Royal Caribbean subsidiaries, specifically, I looked at Celebrity Cruises and Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. They ask you to do a PCR test. They book it with you and it's included in the cost of the fare. But basically you go to one of their test centres and they give you a pack, you do it yourself and then give it back. Obviously that does introduce a margin for error, because if you're doing it yourself and you hate the feeling of it, then you might not do it properly versus someone who's trained. With the Carnival subsidiaries, I've specifically looked at Princess, and I believe P&O is the same, I'm not sure about the others. You do a lateral flow test at the port and they do it for you. So you either drive or walk into the port and pull your mask down, they do it, and then I think you're meant to get your results within half an hour. Most people are going from COVID test to boarding in like 45 minutes from what I've read. A lot of people are happy that the professionals are doing the test, you're not doing it yourself, because it means that they go to the right place, do it far back enough and things like that. I'm nervous. We might be 18 months into a pandemic at this point, but until last week I'd never taken a COVID test because me and Jack do everything together, and if we don't, he's the one to go out and I'm at home working. So my logic was, if he has it, I have it, and if only one of us has it, he's more likely. So I just kind of volunteered him to do it. Obviously we can't do that going on a cruise. Every single passenger has to be tested or you can't board, which totally agree with, that's fine. And I also see the logic of them doing the test to you rather than on yourself, because then they know how to do it properly versus you maybe not doing it quite as you should. Having said that, obviously only I can speak for myself, but I am one of those people that if you come near me with anything, I'm going to be like, nope, nope, nope. I'm just not very good at it. I hate medical things, gives me really bad anxiety. So while yes, I understand the like margin for error thing, I also think you would actually be more likely to get a good result out of me if you let me do it myself, because I'm going to be paranoid about not doing it properly, so I will go over the top to make sure I do it properly versus you coming near me and me like backing away. So that's my number 1 worry, is the COVID test. I'm not worried about it coming back positive and not being able to board because we're both double vaccinated. Obviously I'm at home like pretty much all day every day because I work here. At Jack's work they have to wear masks and social distance even though it's not like law now. So I'm not worried about that, and we're going to take a test before we go just for peace of mind. I'm just worried about them doing the test to me. So the next thing I'm worried about is the onboard technology / app. If you've been anywhere on the cruise addict side of the internet, you will have heard about the cruise line apps. And I'm sorry, but I'm not about to allay your fears. From what I've experienced, the Royal Caribbean app pre-COVID is okay, but it was only on a couple of the ships and not the ship that we were on. But you can't really do much with it. It's pretty much just your cruise compass, like your daily newsletter, on your phone, and that's it. Princess have had an app for quite a while. I'm not entirely sure because this cruise line is very new to me, but basically they have medallion class ships. It's not a class of ship in the traditional sense of how it was built. What they mean by medallion class is just that they have the technology on board to support the app, and they have these things which I think is genius, called a medallion, which is literally, it's like that big. It's like a cruise card, but it's so much better. So from what I've read, it senses when you get close to your cabin door and unlocks it so that you don't have to keep touching things. You can use it for contactless payment, you can order drinks with it. The other thing is that if you are going on board with multiple people, even in multiple staterooms, you can link your bookings together, or obviously if you're in the same stateroom, and then if you both have the app, you can look on the app and see where the other person is, which I think is genius because the amount of time I spend looking for my parents on board the ship. The closest thing I've seen to this before is on Royal Caribbean. If you have the app downloaded, you can use the Wi-Fi without paying for it, just to send messages through the app to whoever your booking is linked to, or whoever you're staying with in your cabin. And that's okay, but the actual location thing, which if you're worried you can turn it off, is absolute genius. The medallion technology, from what I've read, obviously I've not experienced it yet, sounds incredible, like top notch. The app, however, cruise lines and apps don't go well, in my opinion. So Royal Caribbean, I think, gets away with it because they make you fill in everything that you need before you board on the website, and then you've got the app just for on board, but it's not got much functionality. P&O have just released an app for post-COVID bookings. I haven't really looked into it too much because I haven't got a P&O cruise booked, but the Princess app, in theory, sounds great. In practice, I hate it. It just doesn't work. I've had so many frustrations with the app. So basically you can download it. I am finally, 5 days to go, able to see some but not all of the events on board, but I've been able to book the sail away, which is the most important thing. I, for some reason, can't book any restaurants. It just says try again closest to your cruise, and I'm like, what, when I board? Is that close enough for you? Other people on the Princess Cruises Facebook group, which is just like a fan setup group, have said they've been able to book. Others have been like, I've had to delete the app and reinstall it, which I've tried different phones. I can't get it to work. I got an email from Princess Cruises with the subject line, emergency. I opened it and it was saying, you haven't checked into your cruise, and I'm like, I know. If I try and upload my passport or any of my information, it just says, couldn't fetch data, try again later, and it's been saying that since I booked. So I rang up Princess today and the person I spoke to said it's fine. As long as you turn up to the port with your proof of vaccination, your passport and your travel insurance, then they will just check you in there, it's not an issue. But with that in mind, I can't print a boarding pass. He said it will delay me at the port because I can't check in, and then advised me to try deleting it and reinstalling it or trying a different phone, which that doesn't help. In reality, I don't care as long as I actually get to board the ship, which they've said it's fine, it's not an issue. But I can't print my luggage tags or anything, so I don't really know what I'm going to do there. So once I'm on board and you can order food and drinks to your cabin or wherever you are on the ship, and you've got the functionality with the medallion of being able to find your partner or whatever, that's something I'm really interested to see if it works. A lot of people seem to say that the app works better once you get on board, so fingers crossed. Obviously, so far I've been having a lot of issues. I appreciate that the full functionality will come into its own when I'm on board. Apps are a very new thing for cruise lines. It's not something that they've particularly embraced pre-pandemic. The fact that they've tried to make an app, I appreciate. I expect it to be a little bit buggy. I expect to have some issues, and as long as people at the port and on board are happy to help me, which from the sounds of everybody else's experiences that I've read about, I don't think it's going to be an issue, but I'm interested to try it. Hello! Please excuse the state of me right now. I'm in my comfy clothes. As you can see from my computer, I was in the middle of editing. And then I realised that when my camera battery cut out yesterday, I lost half of this video. I'm talking to you now about 3 hours before this video should be going live. I didn't just want to give you half a video, so excuse my face, just deal with it and we can carry on talking about the rest of the points. So when it cut off, I was just finishing talking about the app. Basically, I was saying that cruise line apps are a very new thing. I don't expect them to work all that well, but it feels to me, like with Princess at least, that they've built in so many redundancies. My third and fourth concerns are kind of linked. My third concern is a lack of events on board. On the Princess app, you're able to look at what events are scheduled and book them before you board your cruise. There doesn't seem to be that much. Granted, the app is kind of being populated and updated every day, I think, at the moment in the lead up to our cruise, so there may be more. I could be totally wrong. From what I've read in Facebook groups of people that have sailed since the restart, there do seem to be a lot less events on board. So events is something I absolutely love. I'm that person that turns up to like everything on board cruise ships. Specifically, I love the sail away, which luckily for our cruise, it is marked in the calendar, so hopefully they'll be doing something nice. But there isn't a captain's reception, there isn't a formal night. The things like the captain's reception and that is always a really special thing to me. It's something that you only ever see on board a cruise ship. Like, you wouldn't get that from a land holiday. Honestly, I'm such a sucker for cruise line traditions. Like, P&O announces 12 o'clock every single day. CMV always paraded the Baked Alaska. Although somebody posted in the Princess Cruises group a photo of the final night's menu and it did say paraded Baked Alaska, so fingers crossed. I don't think that it will be anywhere near as fun as the CMV one, because a big part of it was that all of the crew would do a parade and you'd get up and dance with them, and you're not really allowed to do that or like come into close contact with anyone now. Social distancing is still a big part of cruising, even though it's not on land, because obviously they want to keep everyone safe, which I totally agree with. But obviously I don't think there's going to be as much of an atmosphere, sadly. There is still a dress to impress night, which is apparently a kind of subdued formal night. So you can dress up if you want and they encourage you to, but it's not officially a formal night. But yeah, so I am concerned about the lack of events. Not in terms of getting bored, because there's still loads of things to do from what I've seen on the app so far and not everything's been loaded yet. It's just that the cruise line events and maritime traditions is what makes cruising absolutely magical for me, and I am a bit concerned and a bit sad that that's going to be missing. My fourth concern, like I said, relates back to the third one, but it's a lot more general. It's just, I have a concern about the atmosphere of the ship. Obviously for the last 18 months we've been told stay away from people, and that hasn't gone away on cruising. Obviously, totally agree with that. So on board Princess specifically, you have to keep a metre of distance at all times, wear a mask inside the ship and then when you're sat in the theatre and things, and you are only allowed to mingle in your family groups. Which is fine, I don't mind, that's perfectly okay with me, but a big part of the thing I love about cruising is that everyone is so willing to make friends. That's the thing that I've noticed, particularly on the UK focused cruises, so P&O, CMV, things like that, and I do worry that that's the thing that's going to be lacking. Yes, partially because of the COVID restrictions, which obviously, again, totally fine. I'd rather cruise and be slightly restricted than not be able to cruise at all, but also just because after 18 months of being told not to go up and talk to people or whatever, it's going to take some time for that atmosphere to come back. Another thing that when I first read kind of surprised me but also makes sense is that you're not allowed to dance on board P&O or Princess. I totally understand the reason behind that. Obviously, if you're dancing, you're not going to be thinking about keeping your distance from people, and that increases the risk even if you're wearing masks. I get it. It's just a thing that didn't occur to me until I'd read it. One of my favourite things to do when I'm on board a cruise is to go to the cheesy disco, have a laugh, make friends, dance with the people that I've met on the ship, and a part of me is a little bit sad that you can't do that, although I've noticed that Princess, I'm sure other lines have done the same, but obviously I've got the Princess app on my phone for our cruise. I've seen Princess have put a lot more things in, like quizzes and other kinds of entertainment that don't involve you dancing. I really appreciate that they've just stepped it up a level, because there are things that are going to be missing and have to be missing in order to keep us safe. In all honesty, yes, I have these concerns. Yes, I'm aware that cruising can't be the same as it was pre-pandemic. I'm not complaining or trying to kind of bash any cruise lines and their policies. I'm very happy to follow these policies and I agree with them. It's just a case of trying to keep a clear mind, go in, and I think I almost need to think of post-pandemic cruising as a new experience rather than, oh, it's just another cruise, you know? I have a feeling that pre-pandemic and post-pandemic cruising are going to be two entirely different kettles of fish. And this is why I wanted to talk to you, because if you're having the same kind of feelings of being concerned that it's not going to be the same and you're not going to enjoy it as much. I'm hoping that me going on board and having a look and then sharing my experience with you will help you make your own mind up. At the end of the day, all of these rules are here to keep us safe and to allow cruising to go ahead when the pandemic is still very much happening outside of our doors. In all honesty, I'm happy to have a few extra restrictions if it means that I can cruise and stay safe and not come home with COVID. I think it speaks volumes that P&O have been cruising since June and have the same or similar rules as Princess, and haven't yet reported a single case of COVID on board. This has been a bit of a long rambly video, but these are all of the things that I'm a little bit concerned about prior to my first pandemic cruise, but we shall see. I just thought it would be quite interesting to share with you my concerns now so that we can come back and talk about them in a few weeks when I come home. Either way, I'm going on a cruise. I haven't been on a cruise for nearly 2 years. I am getting to try a cruise line that I have always wanted to experience, and life's great. I just need to go and put some washing on so that I actually have something to wear on board. If you've enjoyed this video, if you've found it helpful, if it's made you feel better about being a bit nervous for going on a cruise, then please leave me a like. I would love to hear if there's anything that you specifically are a bit concerned about, so please leave me a comment down below, and then I will try and answer it and allay your fears or your concerns when I get back off of my cruise. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I have Princess Cruises vlogs coming up. Next week I think I've got my last instalment, or one of the last instalments of the Azura vlogs from pre-pandemic, and I have some more nerdy kind of ship-related videos coming up, so subscribe for that, and I will speak to you when I am back off a cruise. Bye!